Who are we? What are we? And what do the two have to do with each other? Who are we? In the modern world, the question is destroyed by the other question. What are we? What are we is supposed to be the scientific content of who we are, our persona, what is evident. Consider psychology. Psychology tells us that we are our feelings when it comes to asking what we are. We are this set, this bundle, this labyrinth of feelings. Now, feelings is a term that corresponds to sentiment. Sentiment is sense, reception, passive force. We receive what is outside of us, and our mode of reception is our sentiment. I feel heat, but I feel sad as well in response to something that happens. Now, these feelings underlie, we are told, our official, daily image. So, in psychology, the facade is left behind. We pursue the hidden feelings. These feelings are the content, what we are. On the outside, we have the objective world, which is conceived as the positive one in positivistic terms, the facade, the open conventional self. This facade, this self, is a shell of sorts. What is scientific is the what. Now take modern physics. What does it tell us? Well, the forces that are studied by physics are what we are, and who we are is again the facade. In both cases, physics, psychology, what we have is a modern conception of science. The what is incompatible with the who. The who is simply incommensurate. In order to get to the what, we have to leave the who behind. Now, in classical science, which is to say, on a classical understanding of the human reality, the who and the what are inextricable. You cannot understand the what aside from the who, and vice versa. So what happened here? Well, let us consider this classical, pre-modern alternative. What is distinctive about it? Well, if the content is not passive, subconscious, or unconscious, if it is not all about forces that are unrelated to our conscious life, unrelated in the respect that the what does not speak to the who, then what is the alternative? How can we have the who and the what speak to each other? Well, the classical answer is that the what is simply not unconscious. That what is underlying our conventional identity, the ego, if you like, is not scientific forces, the forces studied by science, be it psychology or physics. Whether you understand them as provisionally, as subjective, or as objective, what is underlying our civil, conventional identity, the who, is, yes, objective in the sense that it's real, but not objective in the modern sense. And so we could say subjective in the classical sense, in the sense that it is the subject matter of investigation, of reason. So reason considers the underlying reality. Fine, we investigate it. There is language which is about the content of things themselves. Reason as discourse, when we speak about the content of things themselves. That's not points of view, not merely conventional facades, opinions, but genuine discourse is about transcending merely conventional appearances. It is about the content, the underlying reality of our experience. So when we speak about that underlying reality. Now that underlying reality, which is supposed to be what we are, not merely who we are, is, it turns out, not merely unconscious. It is present in our everyday life. It is active. It is providential. So what we are seeking through science, through reason, is the mind that is the genuine thought, motor, intelligible motor of our facade life. Who we are is to be understood in real terms. So when we seek the what, this what turns out to be the true who, the place where the who is at home. Let us consider what this means for our feelings. When we seek our feelings, what do we find? We find a lot of confusion. But if we investigate our feelings carefully, we find that the investigator is none other than an I that is an original organizing principle of feelings. Feelings are not thereby destroyed by a reference to a who. They are completed by that reference. Reason completes feeling. The who somehow completes the what. The merely what is lacking something, is lacking immediacy. It's lacking, obviously, consciousness. How do we account for consciousness? Well, we can go Frankenstein, and we can assume that we can constitute the who on the basis of mere what reality. In other words, the objective being the substratum for the merely subjective, the conventional. Now that for the classics is a mirage, a nightmare. definitely a delusion. There is no such thing as a who as a mere function of a what that is originally devoid of consciousness. So there is the key to our distinction between the classics and the moderns. The what, the content of our conventional selves, is not about forces that are unconscious, but about thought that is quite personal, more personal than the personal. So we could say that the true who is the organizing principle of our feelings, and it completes our feelings as the truth of those feelings. We will not understand our feelings as long as we don't seek out their root in that organizing principle. And that organizing principle we will not find as long as we turn our back on the manifestation of that principle, which is the conventional who. That manifestation carries a dignity, an authority, a natural authority, because it is rooted in the organizing principle of our sensory experience, and thus of our feelings as well. This is essential to classical civilization. And by classical here, we should understand both ancient and medieval. Everything, in any case, that is not peculiarly modern. Today, by and large, we have lost sight of this understanding that allowed pre-modern man to live as a man.